Okay, this is the 2021 trade deadline update. It is August 5th, 2021, and the Orioles rebuild. And hop right into it here. Of the trade deadline. Of course, I had made the trade for Luis Castillo much earlier in the season than early in July. I made the trade for Carlos Correa. And I've made one more major trade as I have traded with the Diamondbacks, I acquired Luke Weaver. Luke Weaver slots in as my number one starter. He's kind of a guy, Castillo-ish, maybe, but a bit better. So last season in 2020, so real life 2019, he put up 1.9 WAR in 12 starts for the Diamondbacks as what, a 25-year-old, I think. He's a former number one pick, but really took a major step forward in 2020. In the first year of this sim, 3.7 wins above replacement. Doesn't give up a lot of home runs, although he's given up a bit more this year. 3.67 ERA. And so he was having another good year at the Diamondbacks. Had put up 1.7 WAR in 18 starts. So for the O's, he's put up 0.3 WAR in 4 starts. Base on ball or home runs are up a bit this year, like I said. ERA is good. I think his FIP is right in the same range. So what did I give up? I also got John Jay, and they were willing to throw in a little cash. I wanted John Jay because I needed just an outfielder to play on my bench the rest of the season because I traded some prospects and some other guys off my 40 man, and I would have had to have added a prospect to my 40 man to call up. So I wanted John Jay in the deal. He was on a minor league deal, and he's now up with me. He's just a bench player, and he's already told me he's retiring at the end of the season. So Baltimore Oriole legend John Jay retiring at the end of the year. So what did I give up? This is actually a bit more painful of a package than the Correa one, I think. So Santander was a guy who I knew would be a solid right fielder for me, but he's not a star, and I have other guys who can do the job, and he had trade value, so it was time to trade him. Of course, last year he had a solid season, 2.8 WAR, 110 OPS plus on a terrible team. But this year has just been really, really bad. In 75 games started for me, negative 0.3 WAR, 75 OPS plus. He's slumped in 16 games for the Diamondbacks as well. I think he's going to bounce back and be an adequate, maybe average major league right fielder. Maybe a bit above average with the bat, with that, maybe he can return to that 110 OPS plus. But again, I've got other guys coming who can do at least as good of a job as him, and he had trade value. He was the main guy they're interested in, so away he goes, willing to part with him under those circumstances. Let's see. Another major league piece I gave up was Dean Kramer. Dean Kramer has been my number 5-ish starter this year and last year. You see, last year, terrible ERA, 7.05. His FIP was almost 2 runs lower, though. He strikes out 10.8 guys per 9. He put up 0.6 WAR in those 16 starts. This year, 24 games, 15 starts for me. He put up 0.7 WAR. He was still striking out a bunch of guys. ERA was still kind of high. And he's gone to the Diamondbacks where he's had 3 kind of rough starts. So, I think he had bad luck on top of some poor results to really make that ERA look bad in 2020. With those kind of strikeout numbers, and maybe if he gets out of Camden Yards, gives up fewer home runs. So he made 31 starts for me and put up 1.3 WAR. Below league average, but well above replacement value level. So he's not a bad player, and he's only 25. He's probably a 5th starter, maybe on an okay team. But I've got guys who can do this. I've got other arms in the system who can do this. The Diamondbacks definitely liked him a lot. And he's got room to grow. He's got, in terms of his potential rating. And then Cole Freeman was having a really nice year. So this is a guy who I got in the original Michael Givens trade with the Nationals back in the spring of 2020 when I basically tore it the rest of the way down. And he's 26 and he was in AAA, so that's one knock against him. He can't play shortstop, so you can always find second and third baseman. But looking like he could be a really good hitter, and a really good fielder too. He put up last year in Bowie 113 OPS plus, 3.6 WAR. This year, a lot of the same story: 112 OPS plus, 2.4 WAR in 71 games. He's a ground ball hitter. He's not a power hitter. That with the no capability to play shortstop at this point. While I think he will probably be a useful major league piece more than likely, he's not going to be a star. He's going to be fine. he gets on base a lot, he walks, but again, just a guy I was willing to deal because of his age, his lack of power, his batted ball profile, etc. But I think that's a good piece for Arizona. I think he's a major league player for sure. And Isaac Gilliam is a guy I got him for the Yankees for Hanser Alberto back in the spring of 2020. And last year, he's got a lot of numbers here. Last year he played 95 games in Bowie, did nothing, 84 OPS plus. But this year was doing really well. 49 games, 239 plate appearances, a 132 OPS plus. It's another guy seems to walk at a decent clip. Yeah, so he can't field. I think he was just having a good year. He's 25. He was 25 ripping up in Double A. I'm not getting that excited about that. He'll probably make the major leagues, but I don't expect him to be an impact player. So that's the deal. Santander, Kramer, Freeman, I think they're all major league players. Gilliam, I mean, if he takes a step forward, sure. But I've got Luke Weaver. He's got 2 years of arbitration left after this one. I actually sent him an offer that he hasn't responded to yet, that he's considering. It buys out 2 years of arbitration, and then I think 3 years of free agency, but 1 or 2 of them is an option year. So I'll update that next time if he does accept it. I dealt Lucroy to the Sox. This is basically just to get his salary off my books and open up room for Adley Rutschman to come up, which I'll get to in a minute. 2 guys I don't really expect much from. Triple A players maybe. I don't expect much. It was more to get rid of Lucroy's salary because I wanted to open up some budget room because I had a draft pick that I needed a little bit more money to be able to sign. So I did that. So Tucker Barnhart has turned into a really nice player. He's like the 7th best catcher in baseball, I think, and Houston got him and gave up 2 prospects. This guy Lorenzo is a guy I was trying to get from Houston for like half the season because they seemed willing to trade him, but I just couldn't find a deal I was comfortable giving up. And they got good return for him. BR goes to the Dodgers, who Gavin Lux was out hurt. And they, I guess they wanted some insurance there. This is a nothing trade. The Cardinals got a reliever for the stretch run, gave a pitching prospect. This was an interesting trade. I'm not really sure what was going on with it. 2 teams that are out of it. 2 more teams out of it. The Twins aren't good this year. Frazier, for some reason, the Tigers wanted an old third baseman, even though they're out of it. Nick Castellanos went to the Brewers, along with a prospect for starting pitcher Brent Suter. That's a decent deal. The Nationals acquired a 5th starter for 3 prospects. And then I did decide to trade Austin Hedges, which he was having a nice year. He's a great defensive catcher. He put up 1.1 WAR. But basically what my my manager was still going to give 50% of the playing time to him versus Adley. And I wasn't going to bring him back because his arbitration estimate for next year is huge. It's like $4 million. I can't imagine the Giants are going to keep him at that. So I dealt him. I again got some guy. I wanted a backup catcher for AAA. I got some cash. Tyler Rogers, I don't know. Looks like he might be okay in the bullpen. I'm not sure if I'm going to need him, but I liked his movement ratings. He's got 2 decent pitches. He's a ground baller. So he's going to get a little time with me. And he's got an option year left too, even at the age of 30. So we'll see. So no huge deals here at the deadline. Good amount of deals, but in terms of the computer, no huge deals. I think the huge deals were the Orioles getting Correa and Weaver, the last place Orioles, stocking up for 2022. So then Adley Rutschman has been called up in major league debut. He's 5 games, 4 starts. He's hitting 400. He got 1 extra base hit, a double. Walked a couple times, and then I signed him to a long extension. Now, one thing in Out of the Park 21 is if you're going to extend players who are not yet arbitration eligible, they will often agree to deals that are not realistic. So I've set a baseline for myself, and not to get too nerdy in the details, but what I do is if the player is... So 2 things. The player has to be within his first year of Major League service. The player has to, when you go to his contract, actually I can't even offer him an extension right now because he just signed one. When you go to a contract page, the player has to be open to a multi-year extension. And then For top 10 prospects, I make the deal identical to the deal that Luis Robert signed with the White Sox in real life. And Rutschman actually fallen out of the top 10 to number 64. So for guys outside of the top 10, it's the deal that Scott Kingery signed with the Phillies a couple of years ago. So this is the deal. It's 9 years, $65 million. These first 3 years, he'd be making the minimum of about 500 and something thousand. So I'm overpaying for those, and then underpaying a little on the arbitration. And then I've got one free agency year locked up at $13 million, and then 2 team option years that both have $2.25 million buyouts. I also threw in $250,000 if he wins the MVP. So he's locked up for 9 years, and for some, I'm gonna have to fix this. He's making the league minimum in 2021, the auto salary, but then it says 2021 he's going to make $1 million. So I'll fix the deal. So next year he should be at $1.5 million. So that's the Rutschman deal. 9-year deal. He's up. The time is now, man. The time is now. Yeah, so that's kind of where the major league team is at. As you can see, Weaver and Castillo topping the rotation. Michael Baumann, unfortunately for the second year in a row, is hurt. And John Means is hurt. Ryan McKenna is an outfield prospect who's up, and he's missed some time with a sprained ankle, but he'll get more time. So Bowman, Means, Harvey, all out for the year. Bowman was having a nice season. He put up 1.2 WAR in 22 starts, and he was decent last year too until he got hurt and then stunk when he came back. So just a little look around the league in terms of what's going on. The Orioles are 50 and 65, but I've played 500 balls since like the end of April after a terrible start. So the Yankees comfortable leading the East over the Rays. Indians and White Sox are duking it out. Angels are up on the Astros by 5 games. Indians and White Sox are tied for the first wildcard spot. Then the Rays, the Astros are in it, and then nobody else is really in it there. Nats and Mets. Phillies might be able to crawl back into it. Cardinals are absolutely running away with the Central. And a 3-team race here in the West. The Diamondbacks, who just traded. See, Luke Weaver was their number 3 starter. Still, but they got a guy, Kramer, who I think they consider who's in their number 5 starter, and put Santander in the middle of the lineup. I think he's batting like 3rd for him. Wild card, it looks like the Padres and the Diamondbacks are up front. The Mets are in it. Phillies are holding on. Good luck to the Braves. I know it's going to be tough to come back there. And just around the league in terms of leaders, Gleyber Torres has 47 home runs, and it's only August 5th. Stanton also over 40th, 42. Is he hurt? What's his injury? Oh, Gleyber's out for 4 weeks with a separated shoulder. When did that happen? Come on. July 24th. Oh, wow. Okay. So that's going to put a damper on his going for the home run crown. WAR leaders, Acuna at 6.9. Nice. No big surprises here with these names. These are all guys who in 2021 could very easily be league leaders in WAR among hitters. George Springer already has 113 RBI in August. He's on pace for 162. Guess that's what happens when you bat in the middle of a lineup on a really good team. All right. Justin Turner, his first year at the Nats, leading the league in hitting, in batting average anyways. 151 OPS plus, on pace for 6.8 WAR at the age of 36. Freaking insane. Justin Turner's fun. He's a fun player. Pitching leaders, Ward, Walker Buehler, of course. Flaherty, Strasburg, Wright's come along. Cole's having a decent year, but not as good as last year. Cole's leading the league in strikeouts. Let's see, where's Caper 9? Jack Flaherty. And just one thing about the pitchers with trading for Luke Weaver is, I looked around a lot. And this was the same thing with Correa. It wasn't like I had my choice of shortstop or choice of starters. It was basically like for the package I was willing to give up, that's all I could get. I wasn't going to be getting a Buehler or Syndergaard. And I even looked around at other pitchers comparable to Weaver, and the teams just weren't interested. So, the Diamondbacks were willing to move a pitcher out for hitting, and I had some hitters who they were into, and then they asked for Kramer, too, to fill in their rotation loss. So the rest of the way, I am just going to be kind of evaluating a bunch of guys. I've got some guys up now like Rogers, Abbott, Sheffield, Eastman, Falter, Fulcher's having a nice season. 27 innings of relief with 10 strikeouts per nine, a 2.00 ERA. Seabold, Steele, all these guys, and I have other guys in the 40 man. I'm just going to be rotating them up and down, getting a look at guys, seeing if anybody jumps off the screen. Colton Eastman just got called up. He was having a really nice season in AAA. Again, these are all guys I've kind of acquired in trades over the last year and a half. Same thing with the hitters. McKenna's out right now, so I actually signed Robbie Grossman, so I didn't have to add a prospect to my 40 man. So he's there. Chas McCormick will get a look. Austin Hayes is shifted over center with McKenna out. Yusniel Diaz, maybe, come on, man, got to get it together. This is your chance. And then we've got a bunch of young guys, Bannon, Mountcastle, Park, Toro. So again, just going to be looking at those guys. And a quick check-in on one thing that was encouraging, or two things, I'm sorry. If I can get my mind operate here. Asa Lacy is back in 2 weeks, so it's looking like he will get a couple starts in. Hopefully he'll be all right. Hopefully, it's tough coming back from a shoulder injury. Sometimes these ratings and potential, once they come back and start pitching, will drop big time. If it doesn't, he's going to be a monster. He's going to be great. And then Jamie Chisholm, the number 1 overall pick, did enter the top 100 as the 73rd best prospect. Look at all these top 100 guys they have. This is a good farm system. And he's off for an 18-year-old. Well, he just turned 19 in rookie ball, man. He's got a 105 OPS plus. He started slow and has been tearing it up in over the last few weeks. So hopefully he'll take some steps forward. Some other guys, kind of in the low minors. Drew Bowser's been hurt, unfortunately. He was my first-round supplemental pick last year. Ronan Kopp hasn't had a great season. He was a draft pick from last year. But a couple guys that have had nice. I do have some guys in the minors who are kind of popping up, and I can go over that at the end of the year. But that's the trade deadline recap. Quick recap of the majors and the Rutschman extension, etc. I think I will probably update just end of year with like kind of an off-season plan update next. So yeah, I'll play out the year and see how things go, and see you at the end of year recap.